This episode is sponsored by eToys World. Go to etoysworld.co.uk/discount/PHC10 for a 10% discount off your first order.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider Cast, episode 184. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm Andy Lewis.
And I'm Rory Summers. Gents, I've been playing loads of games recently. I'm on like 4 days of consecutive board gaming, and like decent board gaming as well. And I'm quite happy with myself.
Nice one. Well, this is a gaming podcast, allegedly. So
I know. Tonight actually breaks my flow because tomorrow I'm playing games, and maybe we're going to play games at the Friday. I don't know whether that's been decided yet, but
it's still an option. Possibly,
still an option.
Maybe.
Yeah, today's my day out, so I don't know whether I need to crack out a solo game tonight after we finish recording, just so I can keep that, try and make it 7 days in a row of board gaming.
Does mean playing a solo game.
Does mean playing a solo game, which is the downside.
Does that really count?
I can't really count playing on BGA either as gaming.
No.
Yeah. Was that just because they beat you at Ruins of Arnak?
I can't remember the last time I won a board game. I can't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I've done 2 days, 3 days in a row thinking about it. Did I play on Sunday? Because I played Monday night with you two. Yeah. And I played last night. I played Darwin's Journey last night with Alora because I've not played that before. And obviously not tonight. But yeah, well, I think we're all doing pretty well on the gaming front recently. It's good.
Mr. Summers, you beat me at a game of Scara Bray on BGA on Sunday.
Oh, okay. By 1 point, yes, I remember.
By 1 point, yeah. But it's still a win.
Still a win, okay.
But I'm looking through BGA and, yeah, you're right. It's not good.
It's not good. It's not good.
You'll have to play Ark Nova just so he can get his mojo back.
Which, bizarrely, is what I'll be playing tomorrow night.
Ah, there you go.
Hey, there we go.
Is it a coincidence? Who knows?
I am running a book now to see if he wins or not.
I will not be partaking in that bet.
We shall see. We shall see. So what have you been playing recently then, Andy? Anything decent?
Well, say Darwin's Journey last night, which I'd never played before, which is allegedly quite a good game. I think I need to play it again because I found it quite restrictive, certainly to start with, and it's deliberately tight. It's one of those, and I don't take to overly tight games particularly well, but it was one of those. It got looser the further you were in, which is a bit weird because you got more chance to get more money, and you can open up worker spaces as you go through the game, so there's a bit more to do.
When you say tight, you mean like restrictive, as in your options are limited, is what you're saying?
Yes, correct. Yes, not tight as in scoring, but tight as in options. Because I felt the game to start with, and this is only literally a 2-player single play, so big pinches of salt here. It felt a little on rails to start with. That there's only certain things that you can do. If one person goes one place, then you'll have to go somewhere else because it costs a fortune if you follow them. So, yeah, it's a little prescribed early on. But it does open up, to be fair, about 2/3 of the way in. But given there's only 5 rounds, I was thinking, space syndrome. But that's not fair. So I do need to play it again to give it a proper fair crack of the whip, and probably at a higher player count as well. Alora's played it at 4, and apparently there's a lot more interaction, a lot more going on, so there's a bit more churn. So
I would love to play this because this is Nestore Mangon and Simone Luciani, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of the Mangon's games that I've played recently.
Yeah, and I do like Simone because obviously he's done Tolkien and a couple of others. I was warned is probably the wrong word, but that if you've played Barrage, you'll know that when you generate power during the game, the person who generates the most gets a score, and then somebody else gets. And there's a bunch of bonuses at the end of each round, and if you haven't got far enough the generation track, you get punished against the bonus you get. It's the same in this. Basically, there's a ship. It's the whatever the hell his name of it as Darwin's ship was.
The Beagle.
The Beagle, that's it. That's the one. He's going around the Galapagos, and if you keep up with the ship, then you don't get your bonuses punished. There's a bonus each round, a bit like Barrage. And if you trail a Beagle by too much, you're going to get thrashed on the bonus number of bonus points you get. So there's a similar mechanic there. So, and I found that to be okay, but I didn't keep up with the ship, and there's a mitigation you can chuck in early on when you complete a little tile, a little objective that basically mitigates the amount of damage by only 2 points. I thought, okay, I'll do that. That'll do. I'll just park the boat and leave it. It's an interesting game. I mean, Laura said, "I know you're really, really going to love it," and I walked away feeling a bit, it's all right. But again, I do need to play it again to give it a proper go. So, because it took me a little while to get my head around it and see how it all fitted together. But not a bad game.
I've heard nothing but good things about this, so I'm intrigued by it as well. Well, should we talk about a similar game which has got a limited number of actions then?
Let's do that.
We all found a bit tasty, I must admit. So we played, very recently in fact, a few games of Ada's Dream, which is by Alley Cat Games and Tony Lopez, and is, I think, medium to heavy Euro. I think Andy thinks medium Euro. I don't know what...
I'd say it's
Rory
medium
Steers.
heavy. Medium heavy. I
Yeah.
think this is by far the heaviest game Alley Cat Games have ever done as well.
Didn't
I
you do
think so, yeah.
Arboreum? Was it Arboreum, the one with the tree? The
Oh,
one you thought was
Christ,
particularly
that
heavy?
one melted my head. That's
There
why I
you
can't
go.
remember it. Yeah, no, that's a heavy one.
It's the brain scramblies. So this is based on Ada Lovelace, who made one of the world's first counting engines, I believe. I'm not a computer scientist, so I'm sorry that my history of that area of science is a bit weak. But that's quite a tenuous theme, because what this really is a rondelle
Nice bloke.
and some associated mini games. And the mini games are loosely themed. So, for instance, you'll go to the laboratory and you'll make stuff. You'll travel around universities in the UK and get bonuses. You'll go and sit at high society and have a chat with some people in some high-backed leather chairs. And then you'll go... I can't remember what you're supposed to be doing on the green space.
That's the
because it was
institutions.
just-
You're going to London institutions to give lectures.
Oh, there we
that's
go.
right,
You go
yes.
into lectures, which
Yeah.
basically translates as putting a disc on a spot. So it was the theme was tenuous there, that I never worked out what the theme even was.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But the central kind of mechanism of this game is the rondelle, which you are moving dice around, and when you move dice onto a slot, you don't kick that dice out. You kick another dice out from the same spot of a value of equal or less. The spot where it gets kicked out is the bonus you get. You'll then possibly play a card.
Yeah.
Cards are very powerful. And put it into your play area. And on a later turn, the colour of that dice, when you want to spend it to do an action, will determine which of those 4 actions or 4 little mini games you do. The ultimate aim, apart from gain this point salad from that's happening all over the board, is you're actually making a little adding engine. So you'll dice the values and you'll put symbols in between them, and it's a 3x3 grid. So in theory, you can make 6 little computations, and those are scores at the end of the game. So what the interesting thing of this game is, and one of the first kind of really interesting decisions, is all the cards in your hand can only usually be played on low value dice. Some of them can be paid by spending money, but the cost is equal to the value of the dice. So to play a card either means you've got to sacrifice a high numbered dice and not put it into your adding engine, which scores you points, or you're going to have to pay out lots of money.
And money's
Money's quite
really
hard to come
tight.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. As Rory mentioned quite a few times on Monday nights.
I think all resources are tight in this, because you also need brass,
fair.
coal, innovation. Everything just seems to be, you never quite have enough. But what's really tight is the actions, because although your turn can involve grabbing a dice from the workshop, which you can do up to 3 before you just have to put dice into your adding machine, you can only put 9 dice into the adding machine, so you only take 9 of these 4 actions around the board throughout the entire game.
I'm so disappointed. That's only just dawned on me. You only
too.
take 9 actions.
It's well disguised, isn't
No
it?
wonder I'm shit at this game. Of course you only get 9 actions. Knobhead. Right, carry on, Steve.
Which is, I mean, it's amazing that you've only just worked that out. I worked that out like 3/4 way after, 7 actions into the first game. No, 6 actions into the game, and suddenly went, I've only got 3 actions. I need 4 actions to complete my plan. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And that's the point when this game clicked. This is the point when you suddenly went, oh my God, this is genius, isn't it? Because you don't think you've only got 9 actions, but that's all you have. You might even not have all 9. Because the game ends when someone has completed those 9 actions. And then
you might
the
actually
round
only
ends.
get 8 in. Or
You
even
might get 7.
Yeah,
8.
Steve.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, because, like you said, one of your actions is to take a die from the workshop, and another action, different type of action, is to place a die in your adding machine. So if you were playing with a group of people that wanted the more options, you could end up having more than 9 drafts of dice. You could end up with, 12? You could essentially take 12 dice in total, but you're only ever going to put 9 in your machine.
Yeah.
Andy's doing some mental arithmetic here.
11. Yes.
11. It's 11,
it's
yes, because you'd have one less, yeah. So you could draft 11 dice and get the bonuses with 11 dice, but they're not actions. They're just getting
They're
stuff.
not actions.
They're getting cards, they're getting money, they're getting brass, they're getting innovation
But
points.
then those cards can potentially, as you discovered, Stephen, much to my consternation, that some of those cards actually give you actions as well.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
true. Which is quite funny when I bought the best card.
I was so angry.
I don't want to go into all the mechanics of this game because it is quite literally 4 different games. They're quite simple in their own, but it's how all the different bits join up. And each bit is I want to say they're not complicated. This is the real thing. Like the movement for universities is like you spend to travel, and the travel cost depends on whether you go for rail, boat, or road. And then you can get bonuses which allow you to move to a non-university city afterwards. And when you land on a city, you get a bonus. If you land on a university city, you put a disc down. Discs allow you to add in things to your engines and score your points at the end of the game.
Yeah.
You know, the institutions which, it's just quite literally put a disc on a column,
Get
on
some
a row.
stuff.
Get
Some stuff. It costs you depending on how far up and how far below you've been.
The meetings get you new cards, which is how you get your powerful cards, or you get a collection, or you're kind of doing like a suit collection of the different types of, was it physics, maths?
Physics, maths, engineering, and astronomy.
Yeah. You're collecting those cards in theory to get you some more points. So there are all these little mini games, but they all tie into this really wonderful cohesive whole.
Yes, it does. It really does hang together very, very well. It almost feels Lacerdery or Turksy in its sort of the way it works. Like you've got a load of disparate bits, but they all sort of feed together really, really well. It's a very clever game. I approve.
Interesting as well, I think you play with the standard setup, which is like things on the board, and then you've got variable setup, which allows you to mix up like what bonuses you get from certain locations and that kind of thing. I found that what you also have is you have an objective in each of these zones. And when you play with the basic setup, that objective is just based on that zone. So the basic one for the universities, the travelling around the UK, is have visited a university in the North, the Midlands and Scotland.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's straightforward. But when you do the advanced ones, which are ones which are variable, it's like you must have visited Leeds University and given a lecture at the Royal Society. So now you've got to do things on 2 different mini games, and I think that really made the game much more interesting. I mean, the game was fascinating on its own, but adding those things in meant you were suddenly juggling. I've got to do that and that and that, and there was a definite you bastard moment when we realised that Andy had. Pipped me at one of the objectives. Yeah.
Snaffled 2 of them, in fact.
Snaffled 2 of them. I just want to talk about the little punch boards for the programs that you're trying to do. Cool. So whenever you go to the lab, you always pick up one of these programs, which are the very old-fashioned programming cards for computers, and you stick those on your player mat against a row or a column of dice, and these give you conditions that you've then got to meet for those dice. So you might want no green and no blue, or you want pinks adjacent to it or ascending, and they're all worth different points, which then is just another thing you have to try and do. So I'm trying to draft this colour because I want to do that action, and I want this number so that I can play this card, but I also want to be able to meet this criteria for these endgame scoring points. There's so much to try and think about. And then, of course, you've got, like as we talked about, the resources are so tight. One of the easiest way to get resources is to draft the dice. But you have to be really clever in how you maneuver the die to get it to kick out, to get you the right colour at the right value, at the right location, to give you everything you need to do the action that you want to do in 3 turns' time.
And if somebody comes along and steals all the pink dice, for example,
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do it.
Curtail. Oh no, it wasn't you. It was us doing it to Steve, and it was very funny.
Yeah, my punch board was to have all 3 dice the same colour. I already had 2 pink dice. Everyone knew I was looking for that pink dice, and basically one always came out after I'd taken an action, so these two just grabbed it just to be an arse.
I also needed it, Steve. I wasn't just being an arse in that game for the sake of it.
It was just a nice bonus.
Yeah.
And there's also self-imposed misery when you put in a punch board that says ascending numbers, and you go 2, 3, 2. And then spend 2 turns massively course correcting.
Yeah.
Which is good. You can course correct. You can make those mistakes, and there are abilities in the game which can manipulate the dice, which is good.
Yeah.
It's just so it's not that frustrating thing of, oh, I've messed up and I can't fix it ever again. But there's definitely that, oh my god, I've messed up. How did I do that? And then you've got to work out how to course correct. It's like, right, so I need to take that action to get the book, which allows me to take that action to do that, which allows me to do that. Oh my god, that's 3 actions just to course correct.
Yes.
I've only got 9 in the game.
Yeah.
I think weirdly, I found this a little looser, as it were, than Darwin's Journey, just as a counterpoint. This, to me, because I think there's more than one way of doing things.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the difference I prefer.
Yeah. To give an example, I looked at the score sheet, just brought it up as we're playing. There are 11 different scoring criteria in this game.
Yeah.
Which just shows you you can do
That's
lots
not a
of
point
different things.
salad. That's a points buffet.
No, I think I lost track when we played on Monday. I lost track of the times I said out loud or thought to myself, and now pivot. Because someone had taken the thing I wanted, the dice was, and now pivot again.
It was at least twice.
It wasn't. I said it out loud anyway. I think there was at least twice where I nearly flipped the table. I threatened to punch Steve at one point.
Yes, you did.
I was getting quite fruity.
funny.
Yeah.
But it's good that a game can drive that level of frustration, not in a bad way, but in a good way, because it means you've got this carefully laid plan, but there's just enough player interaction to piss in your chips.
Steve was pissing in his pants. When it got to one point in the game, I looked at him and went, no, I need to think really hard. I need to stand up. So I just spent the last 3 turns stood up over the board. I can't sit down and think about this game anymore.
That's quite intimidating. You stood next to me like a giant. I'm like, what's going on here?
But I think this game is absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Speaking to what Andy said earlier about Darwin's Journey, there was the first time we played, I was about halfway, 2/3 through. And I kind of went, yeah, it's a modern heavy Euro. It looks very pretty. The resources are beautiful, but it's just do the thing. And I'm just plodding along, doing the thing. And it was at that point when I realised, hang on, there's only 9 actions in this game. Oh my God, I can only actually do 3 more things. And because it was a tutorial game, I'd purposely done all 4 different actions just to learn how they worked. So I'd wasted 4 of my 9 actions learning the game.
Just poking it,
But that's also the point when I suddenly went, oh, this is interesting now because I need to juggle 4 different actions. I haven't got all those actions available. Can I manipulate bonuses and cards to get me like a sneaky half action like you alluded to earlier, Rory? And I suddenly went, yeah, this game's good. This is very good.
Yeah. You warned when I played, because I played the first full game on Monday, having played it at Expo some years ago. I think the jury's still out as to how many, but anyway. You did warn me, yes, this will click at about 2/3 of the way through. It's like, and it did. You were absolutely right. It's like, oh yeah, this is quite clever. It's good. It's very, very good.
No, really enjoyed that.
Mr. Lopez, you have pulled out a cracker.
So that was Arda's Dream from Alley Cat Games and Tony Lopez. I think 6 thumbs up from us 3.
Absolutely.
Just a quick one that you two haven't played yet. I was fortunate enough to receive I mean, having paid for it, I didn't get this free. The latest expansion for Viticulture, which is obviously quite I suppose, a relatively old game now. It must have been knocking about for 10 or so years now. I remember getting one of the last copies of Tuscany at the first expo I went to back in 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so Jamie and the team have put out a new expansion called Bordeaux. It is quite literally a new board. And a couple of extra cubes, pretty much. There's a bunch of solo stuff, cards in there, but I don't tend to play solo games. But this is essentially a kind of a mix-up. So if you've played Tuscany, this will feel very, very similar. The structure of the game is basically the same. You've got spring, summer, autumn, winter, and you've got a bunch of extra places on there. They've monkeyed around with a couple of the actions, added new ones, taken some of the old ones away. I think the biggest change they've made is that you start with 2 fields already sold, and you can't sell fields, because that was one of the ways you could get money quickly early in the game. You can't do that anymore. So it's added a bit more onus on money in the game, and it makes a big difference, because we did find that Viticulture, the regular one, later on in the game, you just get piles of money that you couldn't really do anything with. It didn't really mean anything, whereas in this it does. And the further you go around the little money track, what the hell is it called? Revenue track, whatever it's called at the end, the income track. It actually gets you points the further around you go. So if you cross some thresholds, it's worth actually doing it. So there's more of an onus on making wine, because if you remember, one of the biggest problems with original Viticulture was that you could actually win the game without making a single fucking bottle of wine. Because you just played all the cards. So that has been one of the philosophies in this game, has then tried to reduce that. Although, interestingly, the person I played it with last week won by just playing cards. So that hasn't entirely worked. But it's an interesting idea. You have experts as well, so you can strengthen the spots where you go for work. So if you put a meeple down, you do an action, but there's a little space below it that only one person can ever go into at one time. You can put a little cube in it, and whenever you go in that space with your cube on it, you get an extra sort of bonus sort of ability or action or something that can strengthen the game as well. But there's only one for each one, and each player only has 4 cubes. So there's a limited amount of scope for able to do this, but they are quite powerful. Some of them more beneficial than others, but they'll drive different strategies. So there's a lot of experimentation that can go in there. So things like you'll have like your own wine delivery space, or every time you go somewhere, you'll be able to get like a free money or a free grape crush on your crush pod or something like that. Or you can they've changed the trade action, so it's a limited matrix now. I'm not going to go into detail, but ultimately you can monkey around with that, for example. So it's basically the same game. The mechanics are basically the same, but they've just changed the way the board works, and they've just changed some of the strategies with this new expansion. So I got it for about 16 quid. I think it's about 20 these days now from most retailers. So it's probably worth, for 20 quid, I think it's worth getting. It's an interesting mix-up of the original formula.
Sounds like, from what you said, feels more like a remix than an expansion, if that makes sense.
Yes. It doesn't add much to it. It just changes quite a few things about the game.
Okay. So if you're a big fan of Viticulture and Tuscany, it sounds like get it.
And you want to like a slightly new flavour of it. Okay.
Pretty much, yes. Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
I am tempted by this. I'm a big fan of Viticulture. I was chatting about this last night, and for 20 odd quid, it seems like it's going to be worth a punt to get that.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. For £20, it's definitely worth it. Because it's a brand new board, extra stuff. What they've also done is they've made the board 2-sided, so they've made the original board on the back of it, so you can get rid of the original board if you want.
Oh, that's handy. It takes up less space in the box, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. They've thought about it.
It's good. I like that. Is it going to fit into my 3D printed box insert, though? Will the new components fit in there?
There's only cubes, so they'll just fit in your little component bags. So there's it's literally just a board and some cubes, and that's it.
Oh, okay. And new cards?
Only for solo. There's a couple of summary cards, but
I have a box in the loft which is just marked solo, and all the solo stuff from every game just gets thrown in there.
where games go to die. But yes, it is literally just a board and some cubes for multiplayer games. So it'll fit in whatever system you've got.
Oh, nice one. Okay, that's almost a definite purchase now. That is.
Yep.
I shall go check out eToys World and see if they have it in stock.
You should.
And if they don't, I'll email Kevin and say, "Can you get it in stock?"
We should probably make a proper announcement of this, because we didn't mention it in the last one, because the sponsorship got agreed in between us recording the episode and the episode going out. So yes, we have a new sponsor. You probably heard at the beginning of this episode and the last episode, we have a new sponsor, which is East Toys World, which is a board game retailer in the UK. So if you're outside the UK, sorry. They've got an excellent selection of games. I've just ordered something from them about an hour ago, and apparently it's already on the van.
Wow,
So,
nice. Now that's service.
Apparently Royal Mail tell me it's going to be with me tomorrow. So
Boom.
Belted.
very good. Go check him out. There'll be a link mentioned at the beginning of the show. There's also that link is in the show notes. If you're on Discord, I've also put it on the announcement section. Go check it out. It's 10% off your first order, but they seem to have a damn good inventory at the moment, so we encourage you to go have a look. Mr. Summers.
Hello.
You mentioned you're playing Ark Nova again soon, and I can see it taking pride of place behind you in your little display shelf.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I've got Ark Nova's there, and then I've got the game we're about to talk about, Sanctuary, just up there. Wait.
So yeah, we've been talking about Sanctuary. Tell us more about Sanctuary.
Right, well, Sanctuary. I wasn't prepared for this, Stephen. I was.
It's almost like I've done this on purpose.
So Sanctuary is an Ark Nova game, and it takes some of the ethos, a lot of the art, a lot of the idea from Ark Nova, but re-implements it in a new and different way. So the biggest difference here is that you're going to have these giant hexes which have the animals on, or projects, and you are going to be putting those down onto your much larger map. But the biggest difference here in this game is the way the action cards or the action tiles work. In the first game, Ark Nova, you've got 5 cards and they each represent a different action you're going to do. So that could be association, that could be do a build or an adoption. Here, it's all done a lot more simply. You've got one tile which is like rocky animals, you've got another tile which is foresty animals, and another one which is watery animals. I say watery because some of them are, they're just forestry. It could be an elephant, it could be a monkey. They're in some sort of, tree biome. And where those cards are is the type of animal you're going to be able to play depending if your card is at a high enough rack. So just like in the Ark Nova, every time you place an action, you're going to take that tile, move it to the left, drop it in at the bottom, and everything's going to bunch up. As you progress through the game, you'll flip these over, so you'll be able to point at a higher number, so you'll be able to get some higher values. And you're just going to be playing these tiles into your main zoo and hopefully building up and getting some patterns and some synergies with how and where they're placed. So you might want lots of Asian animals together. You might want lots of forest animals together. But I think really the biggest change, although those are very similar to Ark Nova, the biggest change I think here is the way that you actually score your conservation points, which was the major thing in Ark Nova when your 2 points pass over. With Sanctuary, it's not so much of a race anymore to get the 5 birds. Birds might come up as a conservation project that you're trying to do, but you decide how many you're going to bid for it. So if you've managed to get 3, you could just take your little 3 token and put that down on birds and you go, that's it, I've scored for my birds now, I can never score again. I'm going to use my 4 and my 5 and my 2 on other areas. So you have a lot more agency over which conservation projects you're going to support and at what level. You can only do each thing once, and each number once. And
there's no need to call Rory a variety of colourful names when he takes the one you've just about to get.
Yeah.
Because it's available to everyone.
It's available to everyone.
You could do it anyway.
You could do, yeah. I expect that. I normally get called a variety of colourful names as I'm leaving the house as well, actually. So, but all in all, this is a much faster, more immediate version of Ark Nova. It takes a lot of the feelings of Ark Nova, but does it just in a smoother way.
It's also lighter.
Oh, it's a lot lighter,
it's a much lighter game. It's a much quicker game. But it definitely feels like you're still playing Ark Nova.
Yeah, really does.
And it seems weird to say that a tile-laying game, which is usually a very simple, like tile drafting, tile laying game, is usually really straightforward. I would say it's slightly lighter, slightly heavier than your typical kind of Acropolis style tile laying game. Carcassonne or something like that. But it's still just easy. Take a tile from the centre, stick it into your supply, take a tile from your supply and put it into your board. That'll do things.
Yeah.
It's really quite clever, and it does make you think quite a lot, and it really does feel like Ark Nova condensed into an hour as opposed to 3 hours and still getting thrashed by Rory.
Wow. So which one would you prefer to play is the ultimate question.
Oh,
I can answer this question really easily, right? I have never won a game of Sanctuary, so I would prefer to play Ark Nova.
Of course, yeah.
I think it is a lighter game, and that means it's a shallower game.
Right.
Which means I do still prefer Ark Nova. Ark Nova is a deeper game with much more complex decisions to make. However, let's be fair, it's a 2-hour game, maybe it's actually sometimes 2.5 hours if you get stuck into a bit of analysis paralysis. It's easily can spread. You can play Sanctuary in an hour.
Okay.
Even at the higher player counts as well, it really flies.
It flies through. Okay, your decisions are not as complicated, but they're still interesting enough that it's not just a case of like, I'm using Acropolis as a really weird example because it's not a massive game that most of our listeners have played, but that's a game which you draft a tile, place it. This is draft a tile and place it.
Yeah.
You're not managing any other resources. You're not paying for anything.
No.
It really is that simple. But the amount of times you put something down and a few minutes later go, "Oh, you idiot!
Yeah.
Why did I put the alligator there? When if I'd put him at the other side of the zoo, I could have scored that bonus."
Yes, just like an Ark Nova, depending if you place it in certain areas, you'll get bonuses. Certain animals need bigger enclosures. So I think like the Siberian tiger. So you place your Siberian tiger face up, and then you have to take 2 other tiles from your hand and put them face down in a very particular orientation to this hexagon to go, right, that's the tiger's big enclosure. Which means if you really want to play that tiger, you've got to make sure you leave the perfect space for him to go into. And of course, they have hims and hers, don't they? All the animals are duplicated, so you can have your own breeding program to try and breed animals.
Cool.
Yeah,
which I thought was a nice
bonus
twitch.
for having the 2. Yeah, it looks really good. I think you got to manage space as well because your space is limited, and the bigger animals take more space. So what you have to do is you have to put other tiles on like face down to take up the space, which becomes another interesting decision because you've got to burn some other tiles face down to do that.
Which ones do you sacrifice?
So which one are you going to sacrifice?
And
Which
your
element
hand
of this?
size is only like 7 tiles, which sounds like a lot when you start the game with 0 tiles. But all of a sudden you go, oh no, I've now got 8. Which one do I get rid of? And I go, I'm going to put a buffalo in. I've got to get rid of 2 more. Crap.
Yeah. It has exactly that same sort of thing as well of the original Ark Nova, which we call the petting zoo problem, where you start doing something and okay, I'm going to get a lion. I'm going to try and find the matched lion to go with that. And then that line never bloody comes up. Yeah, because it is, the stack of tiles. In a 2-player game, I don't think we got through a quarter of the tiles. So
that's a big gamble then.
It is a big gamble. And then in a 4-player game, it's up to 6, or is it 5? It's 5, isn't it? It goes up to. In a 5-player game, then you're going to have much of a churn, so you can find the tile you want and watch it disappear into someone else's hand.
Nice. I have Sid's impotent rage still ringing in my ears from about that petting zoo. Is it by the same designer then?
Yeah, same designer.
Yes.
The player count isn't on the flipping box.
Is it not?
I can't even see it.
He's been hanging around with
Oh,
Sid
hang
too
on, there
much,
it is,
hasn't
yeah. 1-5.
he?
20 minutes per player, apparently.
That's about right, yeah.
That's
all right.
about right.
So, hour and a half for 5 of you. That'll do.
Yeah. I do have a complaint about this game, though.
Oh, yeah.
Do you not remember this, Rory?
No, I can't remember what this is now.
So, it's a very symbol-based game. So the tiles are crammed with information on there. Not only do you have the little photograph of the animal, you have its type, you have its wilderness, you have its points, you have whether it's got to have extra space next to it, but nearly every single tile has some kind of bonus attached to it, which is basically scoring at the end of the game. Because, of course, we're trying to score points here, points win prizes, and you will have things like, oh, this scores points if it's next to a water-based animal, or this lizard scores points if it's next to as many lizards as possible, and you count up the lizards. The issue is, not all these symbols are, I don't want to say in the rule book, or well defined in the rulebook, and they're definitely not all in the same place.
No.
Oh, that's irritating.
I remember we spent a long time looking for one particular symbol and couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
So you've got a card, you've got a token with an end game scoring symbol, and we couldn't find it in the rulebook.
Tut.
I mean, BGG rules forums came to our rescue, but I was so frustrated with the game at that point.
Was that the rescue? Was that the designer go, oh yeah, shit, sorry, we forgot to put that in? Or was that actually, Steve, it's on page 6, you blind bastard?
No, it was, this is what it means.
Right.
It was interpretation, because like a symbol that was similar is in the rule book, and it's gone, oh, based on that symbol, we've worked it out as meaning this.
Right, okay.
Whereas what it should have had is a sheet
With
or
everyone.
the back of the book with just all the scoring rules on that you could get at reference at any time. It desperately needed that. There was another one, like one of the scorings one's based on like how many of that animal you have in the zoo entirely, and one was based on how many of that animal you have joined up. And the first time we played, we added up one, thinking it was this one, and then we came to the other one and went, well, that symbol's different. What does that mean? Oh, right, rewind. We have to redo the scores because we have to go back and score the other ones again.
I found, actually, just as an aside, there's a few games that have started doing this recently, that they're almost assuming that gamers have played the games before, or other games like it, in the sense that the people playing this game have played other board games, rather than assume that this person is new. Now, in some games that might be fair, but I don't think you should ever do that. As a rules writer, you should always have everything in there and assume your player is a moron and has never played games before. Because
I find it fascinating that I think Capstone Games and the Ark Nova first edition actually came under some fire because the first game has even more icons. It's got loads of icons, and not all of them are easily to find in that rule book. So when they did second and then hopefully again in third edition, they made that fact-finding icon sheet more and more readable every time. But then to publish a brand new game and make the same mistake,
no lessons
in the same theme, where some of the icons are identical, like some of the they're used the same in both games, but they mean something different in Sanctuary.
Oh, that's confusing.
Slightly different.
It's a slightly different game, so it means something slightly different.
Fair.
Yeah, so that was frustrating. We got there after the first game. It's one of those things that after we played the first game, we'd learnt them all, but it was still a frustrating experience.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, a good game.
Otherwise, a good
Very
game.
good
I actually
game,
really enjoyed it. Yeah, and as I said, the 20 minutes, you're right, 20 minutes per player was right, so you can bash this out in a short amount of time, yet still get a really good, meaty game out of it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's Sanctuary from Capstone Games and Matthias Wig. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right.
Well, setting the bar for pronouncing names right, Stephen, I'm going to go into a game that we've been sent by Mighty Boards.
Oh my God, I've just read that in the show notes. Good luck.
Right. So this is Yotei from Mighty Boards, and it's by Pham Nguyen Ham Hui. I'm going to go with. I hope I'm close. No offense if I've got that terribly wrong. I do apologise. But this is Yotei, and I'm going to show this. This is a tiny little box game that's absolutely gorgeous. It is it's called a matchai building game. It's very similar, I have to say. There's going to be obvious similarities to Splendor, and it does fit that weight category of games. But it has a raft, so much player interaction in this game. So you've got a 3x3 grid of cards in front of you. First level, you've got tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And you're going to buy those cards, and the tier 1 cards are going to help you buy your tier 2 cards. Your tier 2 cards to help you buy your tier 3 cards. And you've got 3 suits, essentially. You've got your forest, your green cards. You've got your mountain, because it's all on Yotei Mountain, which is one of the snowy regions, snowy mountain on Hokkaido, the island of Hokkaido or area of Japan. And then you've got your third area, which is the fields. So you're trying to buy these cards, but the main resource in this game, rather brilliantly, is potatoes. So you've got these little, you've got these.
Okay.
Yeah, it's potato. You've got these little potatoes. So you need potatoes to buy some of these cards, and then when you buy the card, you're going to use the card and/or potatoes to buy other cards later on. But it's all done through essentially a bidding system. So we take it in turns to go around the table. I'll place one of my workers on the card I want. We'll all do that until we've used up all our workers. And then in player order, we'll then take the cards from the board into our hand. But you can end up in situations where, depending on if you've made terrible decisions, I am so bad at this game, right? If you make terrible, running theme recently.
So when you make terrible decisions.
When I make terrible decisions, because you can essentially bid, I'm going to take this card, but when it comes around to my turn to take that card, if I don't actually match the criteria, I lose any resources I spent on that card, but don't get the card. And this is particularly brilliant because some of these cards have a bidding system. And for this bidding system, it's the only time two or more players can go on the same card. They have these wonderful little wooden boxes, which I want to show you, gentlemen, and then during the video for this part of the podcast, I will do a little clip. This is a little wooden box.
Oh, that's cool.
That I had to put together.
That's nice. It's a little hinged lid.
Little hinged lid, yeah. Now, these are actually made from Hokkaido wood, so it's all going to be locally sourced from the region where the game is based. So what happens is I say, I want that card, Steve wants that card. I put my potatoes in that little box from behind my screen and plonk it on the card with my model on top. And then we come round to it and then we reveal. So there were so many times when I played this yesterday, well, I've won the bid, but I don't have the 2 grass cards, so I can't possibly take the card. So I lose all my money, don't take the cards, and the other players have gone, well, I've got all my potatoes back, so it doesn't matter, Rory, I've just stuffed you out of another card. Because you get these back in that order. It is, I say Splendor-like. It's that obvious. It's going to be an obvious comparison because you're buying these tiers of cards. But the player interaction, we played this, the first game took us 20 minutes and we just fired it off, and because some people at the table couldn't work out the rules. But our second game took twice as long to play because we were blocking each other, we were turning cards over, robbing people of their opportunities to you could read what everybody else was doing. The bidding became a lot more interesting. And because potatoes are your only resource that isn't card based, you do have to take those turns where I need to go and get some more potatoes so I can buy stuff next round. It's not all about the cards and the engine that you've got, like in Splendor. You know, if you've just got loads of diamonds or sapphires, I can always buy that sapphire card. No, this time you need forest cards, and I also need potatoes to be able to buy that card. I need to be able to make sure I can outbid Andy as well. An absolutely delightful game. Really enjoyed it. It looks beautiful on the table with all these wooden components, really bright, vibrant artwork, really small box. Everybody around the table, we really enjoyed it. So that's, yeah.
And that's coming to Kickstarter soon.
It is. It comes to Kickstarter on the 14th of April.
Which should be just after this podcast comes out. So keep an eye out for it. You mentioned this game earlier, and it was a pain in the ass to find because of Ghost of Yotei, which is a PS5 video game that came out earlier this year.
Is that all about potatoes as well?
Not at all.
No,
not in the least bit.
I'd imagine it might have something to do with the mountain, the Yotei mountain.
I think it's in the background of a lot of it. I played Ghost of Tsushima, which is the first game, and Ghost of Yotei is a sequel. It's basically Assassin's Creed Ninjas.
Right.
Basically.
So every time you say Ghost of Tsushima, I keep thinking of Ghost of Sashimi. It's basically got this haunted sushi bar with some spectral chef in the background chopping up fish.
Isn't Ghost of Tsushima what happens like the day after you've had some bad sushi?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. That was Yotei from Mighty Boards. So have a look at that. If that sounds like your cup of tea, 14th of April, it's going to hit Kickstarter. Let's
completely change tack. And I mean completely. And talk about Apex Legends, the board game, from Glass Cannon Unplugged.
I mean, you could have segued from video game to a different video game.
Oh my God. I'm such a moron. That was actually a good segue idea. That's why it didn't come to me. It was a good segue idea.
But through the power of editing.
Keep it funnier. Yes, Apex Legends by Glass Cannon Unplugged and designers Thanos Igiris and Michaelis I. Nikolai. I'm hoping I pronounced those correctly. If I haven't, I do apologise. In fact, I do believe one of them saw us at Expo carrying, because we picked this up at UK Games Expo, and I was carrying the box, and one of the designers saw us and went, "Why didn't you get the mat?" And I said, "I didn't want the mat." He goes, "Why? I designed that game. It works better with the mat." Okay, fair enough.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, I'll go back.
Scurry back.
So this is, for a board game, quite unusual, because if you don't know Apex Legends video game, which, let's be fair, if you're over 30, you probably don't, it's one of these like PUBG, Fortnite style games where you have an arena and you all have to shoot the enemies, and as the game goes on, the arena gets smaller and smaller. So the battle area gets tighter and tighter until you get to a tiny area and you only get the 2 people left. Apex Legends is really quite good in that it offers you a variety of game modes where you could play as teams, you can play deathmatch, you can play the shrinking, you can play capture the flag, all that kind of thing. But it really does simulate the video game first-person shooter in a board game. And when I say it's a board game because rules-wise and the way it's run is board gamey. However, the way it looks on the table is very miniature gamey.
Yeah, it looks like a skirmish game, doesn't it?
It looks like a miniature skirmish game, and to be fair, it is, with extra bits which turn it into a board game. It's quite bizarre. It really does kind of bridge that gap. It's not quite the freedom of movement you get in a miniatures game where you use a tape measure. It's grid-based, and it's got an interesting shooting mechanic, but it's very much a board game. You're not building lists, you're just grabbing a character and you're playing. So there's a bunch of characters to play with, all based from the video game. All have got unique special abilities which break the game in numerous ways. And you've got this, it's a grid, and I can't remember what size it is, but it's got these cardboard boxes that you build each game, which are really quite durable, which make 3D terrain. To make crates and buildings and towers and things like that of various levels.
I was really impressed with the array of buildings you can get and how they just flat pack down again at the end of the game. It was really, really simply but brilliantly done.
And then the game itself, your actions-wise, is relatively simple. You'll move, you'll shoot, you'll fire off a special action. The game gets a little bit complicated with some of your cooldowns, because a lot of your abilities have a cooldown, and the way you track them on the board is a little bit unintuitive, if only because it loops back. So rather than having like a linear track of turns, it does this kind of thing where it does 2 turns and then loops back to the beginning, which meant we all kind of had to scratch our head for a minute when we first did the cooldowns to try and work out what was going on. But it is a looter shooter, quite literally in board game form. You'll go, you'll find caches, you'll find guns, you'll decide whether you want to keep that gun, you'll find grenades, med packs, armour, and the aim is just to shoot the enemy. We preferred the team games, they work quite good. What is interesting and different about this game is the shooting mechanics.
It's flipping brilliant.
It's unlike anything I've ever seen. So what you do is... and this is quite hard to explain in a way that makes sense. Even when you're playing the game, it's quite hard to explain as a rules teach. And then people play it and go, oh, that makes sense. So you have a series of cards, and the little tiny little cards you get, like the old trains in Ticket to Ride, and they've all got values on them. And your weapon will basically have a fire rate and a target number.
And a
so
range.
Basically, your fire rate... And a range, the range is obviously range is obvious, but your fire rate is how many of these cards you get to play. Okay. And you play the cards on a little track, and basically the higher the fire rate is, the more cards you'll place down, and then penalties start to come on later cards. So basically it penalises you a little bit for having full auto, because your first shot, the full auto will be more accurate than the 7th bullet that comes out, because you're losing control as your gun's kicking back all over the place. But what you do, these cards are numbered, I think, 40 to 80 or 20 to 80, and they're completely random, and you have to just lay them down and beat your target number. Yeah. And it's really quite clever because every gun feels different. So, for instance, I said full auto games means you'll put a lot of cards down and they'll go in order and get less accurate as you go. You'll have a modifier to your target number. Shotgun has multiple cards in the same slot.
Ooh. So I run up to you, I put 3 cards down at the 0, so I've got no change of my accuracy, I get no modifiers, I'm just slapping 3 cards down, but I have to be really close to be able to use it. Yeah. If you're firing out of range, so you can fire your shotgun from further away, or you can fire your sniper rifle from too close, but for every unit you are essentially too out of range, you start laying these cards down at a worse modifier. So if I fire my shotgun from further away, I can start at a -10 modifier, but I'm still going to whack 3 cards down. Or my sniper can start at -15 modifiers because I'm shooting really close. So all your guns are flexible like that, but they do have this hit.
The other thing is that's also how it manages things like cover and headshots. So some of the cards will have a little headshot symbol on. So if you've hit and you've got a headshot, you've got a headshot.
Nice.
If you don't hit... Sorry, if you hit, but it hits the cover symbol, it means you've missed because it's hit the cover if you're behind cover. And so I'm trying to think of another game, but that everyone that's listening is going to know, and I can't think of many where like everyone is invested in what happens when you reveal those cards. It's got a definite kind of display, kind of almost gambling element of, oh, what's going to happen? All right. Steve can get this. If Steve gets 3 shots off on this, with the damage he's got, he's probably going to kill Rory's character. What's he got on his 3 cards? Has he done it? And it's fun if you reveal them all one at a time as well. So you know, like, 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 and a headshot, he's gone.
It is a lot more dramatic than just going, I'm going to roll some dice and we're going to look at the numbers. It is that, I'm going to turn 1 card over at a time, and it is just more interesting to watch that happen. Oh, that's a headshot. That's a 75 and a headshot. That's behind cover. It's entertaining, and it is. You're really invested in it. It's so clever.
So it's almost like a sort of push your luck, except you're predefined on what you have to turn over.
You can balance it. Like getting the right range means you won't get any penalties.
Sure.
Stay behind cover, you're less likely to be hit. That kind of thing. And balancing your guns is an interesting factor because you can carry 2 guns. And you've got limited ammo for each one. So every time you go to a weapons cache, it's like, oh, do I want to swap the sniper rifle for a shotgun now that the arena's getting smaller? That kind of thing. But that sniper rifle does a lot of damage, so maybe I want to keep that. There's a definite thing, and you can get upgrades like scopes
like you said,
and
like
silencers.
like you said, the loot and shoots. There are so many upgrades for these weapons that if you're lucky enough to get a couple of upgrades, and all the upgrades are dependent on the types of gun you have. So they're like color coded, or they're ammo coded, aren't they?
They're all graphically coded. There's like a little tag system,
it.
so that you put it onto a spot, the tag. So you might get a better. Well, what's really annoying is what happens in the game is you get a really good gun and then you run out of ammo for it, and then you spend the rest of the game running around trying to find ammo for the damn thing.
You get a good gun and then you upgrade it with all this gear, and then you go, oh, now I've run out of ammo, and then replace it with no, but they're just going to be they're good guns, but they're not nearly as good as what I had. But you need the ammo. It's really fun.
And we played a few games of this, but I do believe we've barely scratched the surface of what's in that box.
I think there's so many
There's
more
whole bunches of components we hadn't touched. I mean, we haven't even touched about special abilities yet. You've got things like one character can make zip lines, so it can move across the board really quick.
Yeah, it's not annoying at all.
One character can basically drop, which is the equivalent of a nuke. But the problem is it doesn't detonate straight away. It detonates in 2 turns' time, by which point everyone's scarpered like cockroaches under a torch.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fun. I'm getting Wreck and Ruin vibes from this by the sounds of things.
Oh, it's definite. Just, I mean, there is strategy there. There's cover. There's range. There's that kind of thing. But it's definitely got that. It's a looter shooter. Yeah. The look of the draw of the cards and the look of the draw of what you can grab from these crates affects it. It's also got the shrinking environment. The board shrinks after so many rounds, forcing
randomly
you to go
as well, doesn't
together.
it? It's not like
it's random.
It's not like the left, right, top, and bottom. They all come in at the same pace every round. Sometimes the left will move, and sometimes the right will move, and the up and down won't move at all. And it's like, sometimes they'll just jump in 2 spaces. You're like, gotta go.
So what happens if you're in the bit that shrinks? Do you get killed and you get removed from the
game?
game?
You don't get killed, you just take huge amounts of damage.
Huge amounts of damage. Okay. But you do normally have your turn to move out of it, don't you?
Yeah, you've got a chance to move out, but if you're still outside, I think you lose like what's equivalent to like a third or a half of your hit points. Nice. You've got to shift. You've basically got to spend your action getting out into safety, which is interesting strategy in itself.
Right. Okay.
It's not perfect by any means. I mean, the downsides are it does take ages to set up.
Yeah.
Because you've basically got to build the map before every game. So if you want multiple games in a row, you're probably going to play with the same map and just rotate the board 90 degrees so it looks slightly different to people. It isn't a short game either. I mean, we played 4-player games and it took us like over 2 hours to play, didn't it? So it's not quick, which is almost counter to the kind of feel of the game because it's not too heavy. but because there's a lot of moving parts, especially when people start firing on special abilities which have cooldowns, there can be a lot of moving parts, which just adds to that kind of overhead time. It doesn't feel like it takes 2 hours.
That's what I was going to say.
It's just at the end.
It really doesn't. I think it's because that shooting mechanism, which is so integral to a shoot 'em up, believe it or not, is so interesting. You're invested in everybody's turn, and chances are you are going to move and shoot, if not every turn, at least every other turn. So there's always something going on that's interesting to watch, even if it doesn't directly affect you. And because we played the team games, it might not affect me, but it will affect my teammate, and I care what happens to my teammate, strangely.
Do you? I wouldn't.
To give you an idea of just how that time flies, when we last played, I thought, right, we'll set up and have another game, and everyone just went, Steve, it's like 10 o'clock, it's time for us all to go home.
Oh no!
Like, oh, what is it? I thought it was 8.
So it's like Star Wars Rebellion. Then it doesn't feel like 4 hours. Yeah. That's good.
Time absolutely flies. Yeah, no. So Apex Legends from Glass Cannon Unplugged, really good, really good.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it to be this good.
Really innovative.
Yeah.
It was really different as well, which is what I like most about it.
Mr. Lewis.
Well, whilst you lot have been shooting and killing each other, I have been running a rather more considered affair. Based in the Society of the Wise in London, which is the Rivers of London role-playing game from Chaosium, based on the novels by Ben Aranovich, featuring PC Peter Grant, DCI Nightingale, and a whole host of other animated beings, not notably some talking foxes, which you didn't encounter in this particular game. But yes, this is a role-playing game, an investigation role-playing game, so everyone's on the same side. Some weird bollocks is going on, as described by DCI Seawall of the Yorkshire Division. Weird bollocks. And ultimately, magic in this universe is real, for those of you who aren't familiar with the books. It's contemporary, so it's set pretty much, today. It's set mostly in London, but not universally. And the idea is that magic and magical beings are real, but they're kind of kept under wraps because people don't want to start a panic. And as players within the game, you are trying to work out what's going on in a particular mystery. So it could be something is haunting a bookshop, or there could be something weird going underground, or there could be something happening in somebody's shed. And it's up to the investigators to work out what on earth is going on. The game itself is based very significantly on the Call of Cthulhu rule set. So if you've played Call of Cthulhu, this will be very, very familiar to you. It's slightly lighter, I think. Slightly. But not by much.
I think it's a lot lighter, personally.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is to Call of Cthulhu what Tales from the Loop is to Alien, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy.
If you go with that, because that's also another investigation game, actually. Kids on bikes versus, magic people. And you can play as one of a whole host of different sort of characters. Steve, what was yours?
Mine was the entertainer class, because I played an aging rocker, think Ozzy Osbourne, basically, who'd seen some magical stuff in the 70s. It's the way we played it.
Yes.
But we had a police detective, we had... I can't remember.
A journalist.
A journalist and an homeless guy who talked to pigeons.
Yes. An
eclectic group.
Yes, it really, really was. And so we were given this by Chaosium last Expo. I think it's actually taken us that long to get round to it with the stuff we're given. So there's a basic introductory adventure in the core rulebook, and we also got through another additional mystery as well, which you can buy from Chaosium, and there's a bunch of them that you can buy, sort of small miniature books that give you a sort of a pre-baked investigation. So we went through the bookshop, which is the one in the core rulebook, and we also went through Going Underground, which is the standalone adventure, which we kind of rolled one into the other. So poked the system, did a bit of a character upgrade, a couple of adventures, and with the intention of poking all of the rules. However, due to circumstances beyond the player's control, and beyond my control, I should say, not everything was investigated.
Sorry. So we should probably say this was the second adventure, the second mystery, sorry, whatever you call it. And I did something that my character would do, just a bit of role playing. Basically, there was an investigative part of it. My character is not an investigator, so I just basically said that he wandered elsewhere, and the character was an entertainer, and he did some singing. And I basically shortcut half of the mystery.
No.
I've never seen Andy so deflated. I felt so sorry I felt so guilty, because you can see Andy went like, you can see that dilemma of, you've just cut out half the mystery, but you've just done, you've not metagamed, so I've got to give it to you.
Yeah, it was. And what made it worse is this basically, there are going to be minor spoilers here. I'm going to try not to, but ultimately, singing produced the effect that they were ultimately trying to get to. And the thing that came out, they could have either fought or chased or, literally grappled, and it turns out that it was a grapple is obviously an opposed roll. I rolled a 99 out of 100, which is about as bad as a roll could get. So even though Steve failed his roll, it was better. So I was like, I've got to give him that as well. It's literally
I had to get success. I could spend luck. So just like Call of Cthulhu, you could spend luck. So although I failed, it was only like 16. I burnt quite a bit of luck to do it, but it was like, I did succeed due to the mechanics of the system.
That is true.
So yes. I shortcut the second half of it as well.
Yeah.
So I can't blame Andy for that. I mean, my criticisms... I don't have any criticisms with the game itself, the rules. As I said earlier, it is a lighter Call of Cthulhu, which means it's really easy to get into. I've always said that Call of Cthulhu you can play without teaching the rules, because it's what skill do you want to do? What do you want to do? That's this skill. Roll that dice. It's a D100. Get under that figure. This is even easier. You've got a set of core skills, which everyone has, and then you've got a set of expert skills that likely only you will have, and it's not like Call of Cthulhu where you get a massive sheet and you're getting all of them. You're just looking at your skills you've got on your sheet, so it's much simpler to get your head round.
Yes. Yeah. You can.
The only slight issue I had, we did the basic character creation, which basically meant for the first mystery everyone only had 30 or 60 in every skill, which meant where there was a bit of overlap meant that most of us were the same, which meant there was a little bit of, I thought that lacked a bit of variety in characters. But the advanced skills, that made up for it. It was just the basic ones like, look, we're investigators. Everyone's got 16 investigation kind of thing.
Funny
that. But my issue, and I don't have an issue with the second one we played, even the second mystery, I just accidentally just broke it. But that's what happens. No adventure survives first contact with the players.
No.
My complaint, though, is the bookshop one, which is in the main rule book. Because we'd followed all the clues, we'd got all the information, and there was a point when you could, again, the wind fell out of Andy's sails, when he suddenly realised that we couldn't solve this because it required meta knowledge that us as players didn't have.
Yes.
And it was one of those things, if you've read all of the Rivers of London novels, you could probably go, oh, it's probably that.
Oh, really?
But I've read one of the novels, and from a meta point of view, we're characters who have no knowledge of this. We're new characters, new to this, what's it called? The Society of
the Wise, yes.
Society of the Wise. We're supposed to be new inductees to the Society of the Wise. We're supposed to be naive and not know it. Yet to solve the mystery, we needed to piece together a piece of information which we didn't know.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah. There is a section of the book that does go through all of this stuff, but it is literally a single sentence that would have helped them out. And if you're going to remember a single sentence from a 400-page rule book, you're a better person than me. I mean, I have read all 10 of the novels. Well, I say read, listened to on Audible, but and I would have struggled putting that together myself. I could have guessed, but it wouldn't have been based on what the information told me. It would have been the knowledge of the universe that my character wouldn't have. So I do understand where Steve's coming from there.
It's hard to... I thought about this since. I was really pissed off at the time. When we played this, I was really pissed off that there's this meta information. But I thought about this and thought about things like Vaesen or Call of Cthulhu even. And I think Call of Cthulhu handles it a bit easier because you as players are not going to know about a dimensional shambler and know what that is based on appearance because they're all unspeakable descriptions. But like Vaesen, which we talked about a while ago from Free League, which is one where you're looking at spirits. It's like 18th century, 19th century, and you're looking at spirits. The whole idea of that game is you'll get enough information to work out what kind of facing it is and use your character's knowledge, which usually requires either X amount of ticks in the box to got or getting a certain amount of a dice roll. But it still requires you to basically be given that information by the GM, because it requires a system whereby the GM tells you, oh, this is X monster, it does this is its strength, this is its weakness. You know this because your character's read this book.
That's similar in this, I think, because there is, just thinking now, that there is quite a reliance in the book, there's the feel I get, for the characters to do quite a lot of research in-game, i.e. go to libraries, look up stuff on the internet, that kind of thing, which obviously then requires a die roll, which then basically means if they succeed, I tell them some stuff. If they fail that die roll, they're back to where they are. They don't know the answer. If they succeed the die roll, I will tell them, oh, it could be a genus Licorum. Oh! And if they don't get that little nugget of information, they're going to be floundering again, which I think is a bit crap. So, to me, an investigation game should be solvable, or mostly solvable, by the information the players get. Mostly. Now, admittedly, Rivers of London is a bit of a weird system because obviously it's set in a magical area, but it should still allow the players to do what they need to do to get the information. Again, within reason, but it's not entirely obvious that the players need to do a lot of research themselves. So they could go back to the Society of the Wise and just sit and let DCI Nightingale tell them the answer, but that's no fun. So, I don't know. I feel that the investigations that we played, others may be different, were a little too linear. The bookshop one was, but it does say it's only an introductory adventure. It is supposed to be linear. Take that with a pinch of salt. But the second one wasn't linear. Admittedly, you short-circuited. That's not your fault. That's just the way it went. But there was still only a couple of things you could have done, I think, which is a bit of a shame. It was an interesting one, but yeah, you missed out the fact that there's a ghost down there. You never encountered that at all, but I don't think you got the chance because of what you did. And that would have given you a side quest, and there's a lot of other stuff that you just missed by pure happenstance. So, I don't know. I mean, I think the game's got promise, and I think it's a good idea because it's an interesting universe, and I really quite like the Rivers of London books and stuff, so they're good. And I think it's a good idea to have an RPG, but I think it does need some better, meatier investigations to go with it.
So that brings me to my question. Do you think this is an RPG that is aimed at people who are fans of the books that want to try an RPG rather than RPG players that are also fans of the book? Is this to entice people into playing RPGs from reading rather than go, right, I play lots of RPGs and I also like this book, I want to explore this world? Do you think that's who it's aimed at?
I suspect probably, well, I'd say the former, in the sense that it's definitely, I mean, it appeals to me because obviously I've read the books, and yes, I think people who've read the books who want to RPG, yes, I think is what it's probably aimed at. But the thing is, the way the core rulebook's written, you wouldn't get that impression because there's an entire chapter in there that basically explains who everybody is and what everything does. Now, admittedly, it's mostly for the GM, but if you didn't have that information, you would struggle as a player. So I don't know. I would say yes, it's probably mostly aimed at the readers who want to RPG.
That are moving into RPGs.
Yeah. I think the fact that it's a lighter system definitely puts it in that slot.
Like a transitional RPG.
Yes, and it's very cooperative, almost too cooperative in a way. As you say, Steve, there's a lot of overlap between player skills. And I get the feel, I mean, the way that the leveling up works is that you get basically at the end of each session, you get a level up point, an XP essentially, and you can spend them at the end of each adventure. But each adventure is only like 1 or 2 sessions. They're not long. So I think the impression is that you keep your character for a very long time, which would then add a lot of divergence with different skills and stuff. But that would need to happen. I mean, you'd need to go through a lot of adventures for that to happen. And I'm not sure it has the staying power for that.
We tend to use pre-written modules. If you're going to write your own mysteries, then fair enough. Yes. But I agree with you. You're not jumping up major levels of each end of session experience point bonus, are you? You're just tinkering up slightly.
Yes, yeah, it is just a small tweak. Because if you wanted to learn if you wanted to learn magic, for example, that is a significant character upgrade, and you'd need to be playing for 10 sessions minimum before you could even consider doing that. And that's basically 5 adventures, which is a lot. But anyway.
Anyway, I still maintain it's a good system. I said it's much like in Call of Cthulhu. It's easy to get into, which means it is aimed. It does really help those people who are readers of the books and never played an RPG before. I just think the pre-written modules that we played were a bit lacking. That's all. I
would agree. Yes, I liked it, but from a DM point of view. But again, it was mostly driven because I like the universe and I've read the book. So yeah, I think Rory's question is definitely valid there. It's more probably aimed at readers rather than players, if that makes sense. RPGs, I should say.
So, folks, that is all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. Go to our new sponsors, eToys World. Go check them out.
I will, Steve.
Also, go on, get on it, Rory. You need some new
I want Bordeaux. I also want that expansion for Duel of Middle-earth. I saw that on there this morning for a good price.
All right. Also, check out our Discord server. Link is in the show notes. We'll be talking about all kinds of things. We've got some April Fools go on there this week. Everyone's showing off their new games. People have been showing off their miniature painting as well, which some people on our Discord servers are machines.
They absolutely are. Stephen,
on that point, for our minute at the UK Games Expo, I made some progress on my mini.
Oh?
I bought some new paints.
Wow. Hey!
I'm counting it. I'm counting it as progress.
Okay, fair enough.
It's more progress than I've made, mate.
It's more progress. I've chosen which mini I'm painting.
I haven't even got that far.
This time last year, I was halfway through painting it. So, yeah, I'm about 2 months behind schedule now. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Discord, Board Game Geek Guild 2726. And don't forget to review us on iTunes or Spotify. But until next time, happy gaming.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye. Steve. I noticed that I think you said the wrong show number when we started the episode. I'd already changed that to 184 earlier this afternoon. So I don't know if you want to record that now.
Right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 185 of the Polyhedron Collider Cast. I'm Steve Tudor.
You did it again. You recorded 85.
Well, you haven't changed it on the notes.
I did it as a highlight. I did it as a highlight to say it was wrong.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider Cast.